Paige, what have been your highlights of the trip?
My highlights have been bonding with the boys, doing activities with the boys and reading them bedtime stories.
Oh, I think the whole trip's been such a great experience. I think, you know, spending the time with the Harambee boys was probably quite a few people's highlights. It's just so nice to see that even though they're going through what they're going through, they're still so kind and loving, and you get to really see their personalities within just meeting them within the first 5 minutes. So I think that's been my best point so far.
Okay, I think the highlights of coming to Kenya with this particular scout group was the fact that I certainly felt that we were all working together as a team, which was just amazing. When you think that we've got an age range of 16 to 70, and particularly one of the days we really focused on the maintenance of Harambee, and it was just fantastic. There was a huge team spirit, everybody was getting everything done, and we were very productive. And I think knowing that we were helping, supporting the boys who were just amazing, and that week understanding or even just getting a glimpse of what their lives were like and the impact that we were having as a group, I think that was my highlight of this trip.
Highlights of KENYA24, there are so many to choose from, so many stories and experiences that we could talk about. I suppose some of the key ones is the sense of escapism from everyday life back in the UK. So things like waking up in the Maasai, with the Maasai lands and with the people there, and walking around their lands and feeling that calm, that tranquility about life, and the simplicity of the life as well. It's really that Hakuna Matata phrase embodied and lived to its utmost. Meeting the boys at Harambee, and certainly coming back after the night trip that we did, to see the conditions on the streets that they came from. I remember coming back to camp and having a completely different understanding and view for what their life is, which was extremely valuable, and getting that greater sense of what they've achieved in actually just surviving and getting to a point to where they are now. It was truly humbling, and it certainly gave me a much deeper respect for them and their life stories. It's all too easy to talk about the things, but to actually have seen even a small element of that in reality really makes a big difference to understanding who they are and where they've come from.
Probably meeting all the boys at Harambee for Kenya, getting to know them on a personal level and being able to know their names, what they do, what they want to achieve, reading them stories at night, and sort of just forming a really good relationship with them, which made it really hard and difficult, because then at the end of the week got quite emotional because I didn't want to leave and they didn't want us to leave. So yeah, that was my highlight of the week, and I love that bit.
So the highlight would be, technically it's two, but it's the same idea. When we first arrived at the Harambee house and at the Maasai village, because you kind of just got a first-hand experience as you arrived of, okay, so this is what they live like, this is how they act. In a sense, it's both a culture shock but also a kind of like reality check at the same time of, this is a very different to what we're used to. It's amazing in one sense that you kind of get to experience it, how they live life and how different it is to you, but it's also amazing in the sense of how then for the rest of the time you're there, you then get to experience everything in a new light and a new perspective of, rather just seeing it on the news or searching it up, you're actually there in the moment, and I think that's probably the highlight.
Highlights probably the Harambee house. That was a really different experience. It's quite good, and just seeing the lifestyle that they lived in, a lot different to ours.
There's been a few. I like the Harambee house, especially like we were tickling some of the kids. The smiles and laughs on their faces was something I won't forget. But even like the small things, how much it means to them, that back at home it does really mean a lot. That was something I quite enjoyed.
Highlights definitely has got to be being with the Harambee boys and being with the boys, seeing how much they enjoyed having people there, doing voluntary work there, sitting having dinner with them. But also I really enjoyed the giraffe sanctuary and getting to feed the giraffes yesterday.
Doing the charity work with Harambee, that was really enjoyable, and the cultural experiences such as the safari, going to visit the Masai Mara, they were all really interesting and educational.
Well, I've had a lot of highlights. I think the first one might be surprising, but the night visit to Kisi. I wouldn't say it was the nicest thing I've ever sort of been exposed to, but it was very enlightening as to how the life actually is. You don't usually get to see anything like that on TV, so it was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you'd obviously have to come to see.
Coming to Kenya, I've loved it. I've never experienced anything like it. Working with the street kids at Harambee was a privilege, actually, to be able to make some difference to them, and even little things like teaching them wheelbarrow racing. Something as simple as that has been a big change for them, because they've got new ideas of how to keep themselves entertained.
Oh, my high points, I've had so many, but it was actually helping the street kids of Harambee. That was been my highlights, but I've had so many, yeah.
Absolutely amazing adventure, and recommend anyone to come to this. Completely different, having gone to Ghana 2 years ago. Everyone expects Africa to be the same all over, and Kenya has just opened my eyes to a completely different culture within Africa.
Highlights, I think, hoping that we've made a difference at Harambee, helping the street children. Highlights also visiting the Maasai. Very interesting to put pictures and things to the television programs you've seen and see they don't match up, but yeah, very interesting to see that. So they were the highlights, obviously the animals for me, but yeah, very good.
Oh, the highlights really, working with the young children, the fact that they're now actually doing a flag break, I think, is absolutely amazing. They took a lot from our visit there, which was just absolutely fantastic. On a personal note, the best day really was yesterday when we did the safari. It was just a brilliant day.
My highlights have been finally, after years of planning and COVID, seeing this trip actually happening, to seeing how our young people interacted with the young people at Harambee, which was really positive. Being able to do some work at Harambee, which helps the centre, and actually then moving on to the Maasai village, working with the Maasai and getting some understanding of the challenges to their way of life in this current day and age.
So I say the most fun I've had on this trip was definitely at the Harambee house. I felt like that was a very good experience where you met so many different personalities, and for me it was great because these boys came from nothing, and giving them even just a little bit of our attention made the world to them. So.
Oh, there have been many highlights. I think one of the biggest was actually meeting the Maasai ladies and talking about their experiences and what it's like growing up in the culture. Also, it was really lovely to spend time with the boys at Harambee for Kenya. I think just spending time reading storybooks with them or going out and playing with them, and just actually getting to know them when we were making friendship bracelets was really, really special and something I won't ever forget. So those have been the highlights, and also the food has been cracking. I'm so chuffed. I could have stuffed myself silly on chapati. So
probably having fun and playing with the Harambee boys, and the carnival yesterday was really nice. The carnival is basically all you can eat, just meat over and over and over. So duck, lamb, beef, ox balls. Yeah, it was just really nice.
I think the highlight of the trip for me is seeing sort of young people embrace the experience and learn something about the culture of another country. Often when we run these trips, when the young people meet up for the first time, they're perhaps from different districts and things, don't know each other. By the end of the trip, they've usually all sort of gelled together and become one team, which is fantastic.
Probably finishing hanging the door on the games cupboard for the boys at Harambee, because it took us a very long time to do it, but now it should last for many years. Also, I think that Carnival was very fun. It was very interesting experience. I don't know if I'd want to go back again, but it was very interesting to try and see how they came around. It was just constant, more meat, more meat, more meat. All the time, you didn't have time to breathe. The Carnival's a restaurant that sells like exotic meats and lots of other meats. We had like ox balls, ostrich meatballs, some fish that I can't remember the name of, and like beef, chicken, just like every meat you can imagine.
Best bit, favourite bit, becoming friends with everybody here. Everybody's great, I've loved becoming friends with them. But you know what, my number one highlight, just seeing Naeem just go down that side. No.
Okay.
When we were tickling the kids at Harambee and they were laughing so much and the smiles on their faces, and when we were playing basketball with them and just getting to spend time with the kids and seeing the smiles on their faces.
I'd say one of the highlights of the trips was the short walk to go see the giraffes from Chief Joseph, and just seeing them out in the wild for the first time. That's not something I'm going to see again.
My highlight has been teaching the boys illustration at Harambee for Kenya. I've discovered a passion for teaching, and it's something I'm going to take with me moving forward in life.
My highlights of Kenya is helping out at Harambee and knowing that I'm making a difference, and also the safari, being able to see the animals up close. It's a real experience.
Highlights, definitely our time at Harambee with the boys, talking to all the boys, spending time with them and all that stuff, and all the bus issues we had was really funny. Getting stranded in the middle of nowhere with a bus that won't drive.
Probably the Maasai tribe. I like talking to the Maasai, learning about their culture. I also like the safari as well.
My highlights of the trips have been going to Harambee, helping out the street kids there. Also, going on the safari has been a unique experience, and just seeing all the animals like the giraffes, the buffaloes, the gazelles, everything there. It was just completely unique and something I've never experienced before in my life.
My highlights of the trip were definitely being at the KENYA location at Harambee for Kenya, working with all the boys there, getting to know them, and just seeing how much of a difference just little things like us reading them stories in the evening and sitting down and colouring with them were, and the safari and feeding giraffes and stuff too.